Welcome to the Class Business Podcast. I'm Krissy Monaghan, your host, and today we are joined by Emma Hewitt. Emma is an awards advisor who helps businesses strategically use awards to build credibility, visibility, and authority, and not just enter for the sake of it, but enter to win and leverage the opportunity properly. With a deep insight into what the judges are really looking for, Emma supports founders to position their story, impact, and results in a way that stand out from the crowd. So excited to have this conversation with Emma today, so let's dive in. Emma, it's absolutely amazing to have you here today. For everyone who's listening in or watching us on YouTube, tell everyone who you are, what do you do, and where do you do it?
Hi, Krissy. It's great to be here. So my name's Emma Hewitt and I'm an awards strategist. And what that means is I work with small business owners to use awards as a business tool to get visibility and grow their business. And I also support business owners that want to launch their own business awards.
Well, obviously, you've been doing this for the last 2 years?
Yeah, almost 2. Yeah.
2 years. I was going to say, I thought it was 2 years. So let's go back to the beginning on your business journey, because you've been in business for some time, either as a freelancer, self-employed, and a franchisee at one point.
So I started off my self-employed journey 10 years ago on maternity leave, as a lot of people do. And I was a franchisee for mum-to-mum markets. So I ran children and baby sales in my local area, and I did that for about 4 years, running like monthly events. And what that gave me was lots of contacts with other businesses that were targeting families and children. So I built up a network of local kids activity providers, children's shops, children's services, that sort of thing. And through that, I came across Clubhub, which is a children's directory. And I spoke to Tessa and we did some sort of mutual promotion. I had her flyers in my goodie bag set events and she listed my events on her directory and I got to know her that way. And from that, I started doing some freelance admin for her, which sort of snowballed gradually to me running her awards and conference every year. And I did that for 5 years. So that was my introduction to organising business awards. And then I realised that actually I could help a lot more people if I stepped out from behind the scenes and I started reaching out to other business owners and supporting them with award entries.
And here we are now doing all those things. So let's just rewind a tiny little bit. So what made you join a franchise network in the first place? Because what were you doing before you had your children?
So before I had my kids, I worked in universities. So for 10 years, I was involved in international student recruitment. So I had a sort of portfolio of regions of the world that I managed, and I had a team of people and we would travel out to those countries and attend recruitment events, and we had recruitment agents on the ground and meeting students and their families and promoting study in the UK. And the last university I was at was University of Birmingham, so I would tell people about their courses and guide them through the admissions process. So yeah, I did that for about 10 years. And then on maternity leave, I suspected that it was going to be very difficult to go back to my job. I'd been thrown a few hints and I was quite worried about it. And I just happened to see the franchisor on Dragon's Den.
Cool.
It was just pure chance. And she was talking about what she was doing. And she was off the back of that. It was, they always screen them at the time that they're going to be doing the rollout. She was rolling out her franchises and going nationwide. And I thought, well, that's something I could maybe do. Even if I went back to work part-time, I could do that. So maybe I should get something as a safety net. So it felt like a fairly safe option, the whole like business in a box. I hadn't got to set it up completely from scratch. I'd got to build it from scratch in terms of local awareness. But yeah, it felt like a safe option.
And you were there for 4 years?
Yeah, I only stopped I was in the process of selling my franchise when COVID came. So
not the dreaded C word. Everyone I've spoken to is like COVID.
Yeah, that was a blow. Because at that point, my eldest was about to start school, and I didn't want to have it was all the sales took place on a Saturday, and I didn't want to have all my weekends kind of tied up with promoting them, because it was basically they'd run every 4 weeks, but the 3 weeks in between I'd just be out doing the flyers and promoting like crazy. So I wanted to change. So yeah, I was in the process of selling it, had it all lined up, and then everything came to a standstill, and unfortunately that fell through. So in the end I actually handed back my territory. But
such a shame. You're not the
Yeah.
only one. Lots of people
that's it. I mean, exactly. So
or handed things back.
It was easier because I'd made the decision to step back anyway. So it was disappointing to lose the sale, but I'd already decided that I didn't want to do it. So it wasn't as bad as it was for some people.
And then obviously you moved to do Club Hub, and you were instrumental in getting Club Hub awards, behind the scenes organised and doing all the work behind that. And obviously I'm a big fan of Club Hub, and I've always been a big fan. I think I was one of the first initial sponsors. I'm sure, because it was in London, wasn't it? The very first event.
Yeah,
I remember the money grab. Yeah, there was the money grab.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Funny enough, I was there as a nominee that day. So I actually won Community Business of the Year in the first year.
Oh, wow. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I was just attending that day, and I helped Tessa out a little bit on the welcome desk and stuff. But I wasn't working with her at all then. It was about 6 months later that I started doing some admin for her, and her awards were going to grow because they were going into their second year. And my background in the university, so I looked after scholarships. So my background's in running academic scholarships, and they're very rigorous. And that's where my sort of commitment to integrity and transparency comes from, because there's no gaps in universities. And I feel like business awards should be on the same level. So I'd got a lot of experience in the processes behind the scenes. So I had a look at the Club Hub Awards and sort of suggested some things that we could bring in that would make life easier and make it more scalable. And that's how it went on from there. And obviously it's scaled and scaled and scaled to where it is now.
Yeah, and it's a great awards for the children's activity space, and well recognised and well received as well, I would say. And I always love coming to Club Hub. It's always a good vibe for the day. But obviously you had this calling that was telling you it was time to step into the spotlight, and look at a different path for yourself. Let's talk about that, because I know you did the one-to-many program at Lisa Johnson, and you came through at the time when I was supporting people. Why awards? What sparked your interest? Why did you think that's where my expertise lies?
I think it was just a gradual process. I think there was a penny drop moment, but I can't put my finger exactly on it, where I just realised that all the experience that I'd had in scholarships was directly relevant. And then instead of thinking of myself, I had kind of a bit of an identity crisis, I guess, which a lot of people go through on maternity leave, and when you leave a career that you've had for a long time. I didn't really know what I was anymore, and I'd been a franchisee. I was doing the freelance work, but I'd kind of lost who I was. And then bits of it started coming back to me, and I started writing. It's all been coming back in my social media memories and reminding me recently. I started writing little posts about what I've learned from managing scholarships and business awards for the last, however long, and sharing my tips and things like that. And it just gradually, the penny was dropping that all of that was relevant. And actually I'd got a lot of experience that I could share with people. And I just thought maybe there is another way that I could do this. So the one-to-many appealed to me, because that's literally what I wanted to do. I thought, rather than just being behind the scenes on one award, I need to reach more people and help them. And that was a really valuable experience working with you in the Krissy crew. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that I did that, because it changed my mindset and my outlook on what was possible. But the catalyst in it all was entering an award myself. So I entered the Woman Who Achieves Awards in 2024 as a freelancer, because there are no categories in those awards. So for the first time, I could actually fit in somewhere, because freelancers, I always liken it to being like the elves and the shoemaker. They're a little bit like unsung heroes. They don't really fit into many business awards, and they sort of go under the radar. So I was a finalist in 2024. I went along to the event, and it was an amazing day. And I just was so empowered to be a finalist, to be in that room with all those amazing women, to have gone through the judging experience and everything. And I thought, this atmosphere in this room, if I could bottle it and give it to people, like the uplift they would get from it. And then I just thought, I can get people in these rooms. I've got the skills to help people get themselves in these rooms. And actually, sometimes that's all you need. It's not about the end result of the award. It's just putting yourself forward, getting into those rooms, soaking up that atmosphere and that inspiration. So that was the catalyst. That was the moment where I stopped talking about business ideas and business models and thought, right, I'm actually going to go for it. And it was about 4 weeks later that I helped my first client to get themselves shortlisted. So
that's why I love going to events and awards events, but just events in general, because you go into these rooms, you connect with so many different people, you see what's possible. Some of the conversations are inspiring, and some of them you're like, oh, I can take that away to implement into my business. And I think I had the similar thing to you. Basically, last year, I went to Ideas Fest. Brilliant event down in England. It was a bit awkward to get to, but it was a really good event. My friend Nick Welsh was talking on stage, on Danny Wallace's stage, and she invited me to come along. And I thought, right, I'm going to go along, see her talk on stage and see what it's about. And I just loved the vibe. And it was just, popping into tents, listening to the guest speakers that you wanted to sort of hear, obviously get your inspiration. And it was then, like, I was looking at planning for this year, and I was like, I'm going to need to do something different. I'm going to need to build something. And then that's when I decided I'm going to build my own awards. It was that event, because I was like, why am I not doing events? Like, my background, it's like you just said, it's like a penny drops. Obviously, I love coaching and all the stuff I do with everyone right now. But I spent 9 years as a franchisor running an event business, and I was bloody good at it. So that's when I was like, I should run my own event. And then I was like, what type of event could I do? And that's when I was like, actually, for years, people have been asking me to organise my own awards. So it's just interesting that you say that one moment sparked like the next 2 years for you, because that one moment sparked it for me. I was like, yeah, this is what I need to do. This is the calling. This is like the next chapter. So for the last 2 years, you've been working with business owners. Tell everyone, what do you do with the business owners? Because obviously people see, first of all, like, awards are great for business. I don't really think that people understand actually how great they are for business. They just see it as a badge, and they don't see all of the other benefits. So yeah, walk us through like what you've been doing with clients and what does that involve?
So I do spend a lot of my time on the sort of education piece, talking to business owners about the benefits of awards. I'm a great believer in them. The way that I reframe them is they're essentially a marketing tool. So there is a lot of emotion that goes into them. And that's one of the biggest barriers, that people hold themselves back, either thinking they're not award worthy, they're not for them, they're for other businesses, bigger businesses and whatever else. They worry about how people will judge them for entering awards, how people might judge them for sharing their nomination badge or their finalist status. So there's a lot of emotion that goes on. But the simple reframe for anyone that's looking at them for the first time is that they're a marketing tool. They're often free at the point of entry or a very small entry fee. And for that, you get to review your own business. You're forced to answer the award questions and think about your business in a slightly new way, which is always massively valuable. And then you're on a journey as a nominee, and you can use that, maximise that as much as you want. So the visibility is instant as soon as you share your nomination, and it doesn't have to be a badge that's been provided. It can be a post yourself to reflect on why you put yourself forward, what you've told them about yourself. As soon as you start doing that, people see you in a different light. They see you as a potential award winner, and it's a little psychological switch for people. You've got that instant uplift, and then you can engage in the process. So I say to people, get involved. If you're sharing your nomination, look out for the other nominees. Congratulate them, comment on their posts, tagging the award organizer because they'll engage with you and they'll share your post as well because they want to get eyes on the award program. And that is instant visibility. So just purely as a visibility tool, there's absolutely nothing to lose with them. And then further to that, the credibility and the confidence that you get from going through the process and being shortlisted and being recognised is absolutely priceless. It's priceless. And it can lead to all sorts of opportunities. So it can get you in rooms with people that you wouldn't have met otherwise. It can get you new clients, future collaborations. It can get you press and PR. It's just a massive opportunity.
Yeah, it's just endless, isn't it? The opportunities. And I don't think I really understood awards for a long time until I was like, I need to sort of play the game here. Like, I do need to get involved, because obviously when I was starting out, there was all these awards that were voting ones. And I didn't really like the whole voting game, if I'm honest, because I was like, it's just who's got the biggest audience. And, you know, if you're just starting out, you don't have a massive audience. So I didn't really engage in those types of ones. Then obviously, like you said, there was sometimes like other people had to nominate you. So I was a bit like, again, like you're relying on someone else to nominate you. Whereas, because self-nomination, like I think is that just like come more recently? Because I'm sure it used to be like
greater awareness. I still meet people now who think that you have to wait for someone else to nominate you.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I really like to be in that award, but I've not been nominated yet. And I'm like, you can nominate yourself, and it actually comes as a genuine surprise to them. So I think it's always been there, but people tend to be a little bit cagey about it. People think that self-nomination will be judged, you know, that people will think that they're, you know, full of themselves or blowing their own trumpet. Or it's really weird. And I always say, well, if you've got a business and you believe in what you're doing and you want more people to know about what you do, why would you not put yourself forward for an award?
Yeah, you got
to me, it's like, you wouldn't go through the same critique of whether to put a sponsored post on social media or to run an advert somewhere. You know, your end goal is you want people to see it, and awards are just the same. So people do miss out because they're waiting for someone else to nominate them. But self-nomination is what most people do. And so building on that, what I do with clients is look for building an award strategy. So you are going to self-nominate, and you're also going to self-nominate for the awards that work best for you at that point in your business. So it's really about looking what your business goals are for the next 12 months, which business awards would align with those, which ones are going to give you visibility. So for example, if your drive is that you just want more customers this year, you want to go on a bit of a growth mission, where are your customers? Which awards will they see? Which awards will give you the right visibility? If you're looking for sector credibility, then which industry awards could you look at? Which rooms can you get into with other sort of movers and shakers that will move your business along? So it's a really strategic process, and that's when it works for people, when it stops being a sort of knee-jerk reaction to enter an award
like
because you've seen it on someone else.
Collecting badges. Badges. Yeah, for sure. Because I think that's when I first started out as a franchisor, I was like, okay, I can't enter those because I've got to get a vote. Then obviously there was other awards where I was like, we don't really have enough to talk about yet to enter. And then I think when the penny dropped, I was like, okay, I think I started entering some local awards. So like people that were running more local awards, I was like, okay, I can get involved in those. And then when obviously I was a franchisor, and obviously we were actively recruiting franchisees, that's when I was like, okay, we need to enter like encouraging women into franchising awards, and we need to enter the Club Hub awards, and then we started being strategic. Okay, we entered into the BFA marketing award, so we could be more strategic, get visible, and obviously show the social proof to prospective franchisees that we are a credible business. Yeah. And it's the same with this business. When I launched this business, I did the same. The strategy was get in front of people. So obviously I was lucky enough that Tessa at Club Hub gave me an opportunity to be like a keynote headline speaker. And then I sponsored the award. And that was my original lock-in, like, let's sponsor awards first, get visibility, then enter the awards. And then we won the award. And now my clients go on and win awards, like through Club Hub. So totally agree on you got to have the strategy. You don't want to just enter for the sake of entering.
Yeah, because you can get so much more out of the process. Because what it tends to happen is people will enter an award and not do anything with it. So they might share their nomination badge once or twice, not mention it again. If they don't get shortlisted, it will just disappear completely. If they're shortlisted, they might share that announcement once or twice and they don't really do anything. But like I said earlier, that engagement that you can do, you can get visibility on your posts and start building a network online just by commenting and engaging on other people's posts about the awards. And build a relationship with the person that's sponsoring your award, for example. Start following them, commenting on their stuff, because they have chosen to sponsor that award for a reason. They're invested in what that category stands for. And if you're aligned with that yourself, then there's some common ground there that you can use. You can also start picking up contacts from the other nominees, like I said, because if you do that, when you go along to the event later, you'll have already made contact with lots of people that are going to be in the room, and that makes the networking so much easier. You've got that head start. So I always say to people, it's better to pick fewer awards and maximise them fully, really talk about them, really share them, really engage, than it is to just go, like you said earlier, badge collecting, because that actually can lower the impact of them if you're just constantly.
Obviously, so when I decided I was going to host my own awards and came up with the concept, like, just for, I don't know, do you know off the top of your head how many awards are there in the UK?
But it's hundreds and hundreds. I wouldn't be surprised if it reaches like the 1,000 mark, because it's like an endless, and of course anyone can set one up. So there are literally hundreds. I would say thousands. Every industry has their own awards. There's all the local ones. Then there's like the ones that are attached to like a newspaper or some sort of press. It's just endless. And unfortunately, amongst them are some quite dodgy ones as well, which are essentially...
for sure. One of the first things I was doing is, like, looking at the market and thinking, right, what can I build and create that's different to what's out there on the marketplace already? Being very conscious that in the sector that I was operating in, there already is awards, and I didn't want to like tread on anyone's toes, and I didn't want to I wanted to do something different, and I knew it had to be different. So I came up with a concept for the Class Business Awards, bringing adult classes together with children's classes, and then obviously having recognising the sector as a whole, and it would be the UK's first platform built for class-based business owners. And I came to you with the idea because I was like, right, I need someone who can help me with this, because I've built a lot of things, but an awards platform I haven't built. So I needed some advice and guidance. And obviously I had a call with you to discuss what I wanted to build. And the concept was the awards. However, the actual business was going to be the 12-month campaign in terms of telling the stories like we're doing right now, telling the stories of the partner sponsors, the judges, the nominees, because we want to get nominees in and interviewed, and then the finalists right through for the whole 12 months. So building a whole media campaign around it. When we had the discussion, and obviously the other part for me was really as well, it had to be business awards. I wanted it to be business awards, no fluff, ethical, judged properly. Like, so there's no like stone left untold, because obviously, as we said, there is some dodgy awards out there. So when I came to you with the concept, what did you think of the idea?
I loved it right from the start. I mean, I knew, obviously knowing you well over the last sort of 5 years, I think it is now, probably 6 years, I knew it was going to be different. I knew it was going to be valuable for people and exciting. And I knew that you had the commitment, like you say, to it running as a proper credible award. And I think it is really important because your platform is giving people an opportunity to get recognition who haven't had one previously. There hasn't been a natural place for them to go to enter awards. There's business awards that they will be eligible for, but they're almost a little bit lost in the sort of the generalisation. And these are really specific businesses doing really valuable work with a specific set of challenges, and these awards will give them the chance to have the recognition for that. So I thought that was really important. But I knew that, it needed to be a credible platform. It was going to need a lot of good people involved, obviously in the process itself as judges, also as your sort of partners. And I knew people that would want to be involved in that might not have heard of you yet, might not have a direct connection with class businesses, but I knew that they would really want to get involved. So I was immediately excited about the opportunities it would provide, because, as you said before about sponsoring awards aren't just for the nominees. They create massive opportunities for people to get involved and align themselves with something. So I think anyone that's thinking about sponsorship and partnering with an award is such a valuable opportunity to align their brand and be seen as someone that's supporting other small businesses. And the same with judging. It's an accolade to have. It's work, but then you gain so much insight into other businesses, and you gain that visibility and credibility. So the whole 360 on it really is huge.
Yeah, I mean, and that's so important, isn't it? It's building it correctly, because this isn't a one-off. This is something that we want to create and have legacy for the future, and for class-based business owners to be recognised. And so obviously we've been working hard behind the scenes, pulling everything together. And Emma's been doing an amazing role in, I had all the category ideas, and Emma took all of that information and created us questions, because I wanted to do the questions differently to other awards. So just walk us through what you had to do for that, because it was different. I wanted to make sure that everyone, I didn't want anyone copy and pasting across all different awards.
Yeah. I think that's really important. With an award, you've got to start from the beginning, and I think put yourself in the shoes of someone that's entering. And so I'm in a privileged position that I've helped so many people to enter so many different awards now, even though I haven't personally gone through each one. I've held their hand through that process, and I've had that insight into which questions really get people thinking, which questions actually mean something and are telling the judges something actually useful. Because you do see a lot of generic questions used time and time again in different awards, and there's not as much value in that. So for the questions, I was looking at what we wanted to know about the business, but what we wanted them to really stop and reflect on themselves, what was going to actually get them thinking and get them looking at their business in a meaningful way. So we created 4 questions that everyone will answer, and then we have 2 category specific questions for each one, which are slightly longer answers, which gives them a chance to really dig down on what it is about that category that their business it succeeds in and is like excelling at. So those category questions are a longer answer. They've got a longer word count for those, and they really link into the category description and what that category stands for. So we've built guidance alongside the questions. There's no tricks here. There's no tripping people up. Everything is spelt out for them. They've got the question, they've got the guidelines, they've got exactly what the judges will be marking them on. And I think that's really important, because that's not just guidance, that's getting the best out of people, which is the whole point of an award. Like, why would you provide people with questions and then not tell them what you want them to put in the answers? So we're not answering them for them, but we're giving them the pointers for what sort of thing they could include. So that's a valuable exercise in itself. I think just that reflection piece for people to go through will give them a lot of valuable work that they can use afterwards.
Yeah, I can't wait to see, because when all the applications start coming in, because one of the things that obviously I was looking for as an overall event was the impact. I really wanted to know what impact are business owners having at a local level on the community. I can't wait to see those answers come through, because that's going to be the stories. That's going to be the stories that we're going to be able to lift into content and obviously share with other providers so they can implement them into their business. So that really, really excites me. And then the other part of the awards process that you've been supporting us on is judges, because obviously we have to find a team of judges. And when we were calculating it all, we were like, we're going to need about 20 judges, 25 judges. Now, that's no mean feat, finding those people who are willing to give up their time to be involved in the process. Walk us through the judges that we have recruited and what our judges are going to be looking for in the applications.
Yeah, so you're right. I think it's really important that a judging panel is broad in terms of the expertise. So we've curated a panel, and we've looked for people from all different walks of business, really, not just class businesses. So there are some class business experts in there, but there are people from all different types of business, reflecting all the different elements. So there are some that will be able to really focus on impact and community partnerships and that side of things. There are others that have real expertise in marketing and brand, others that specialise in working with startup businesses and all of their challenges. So I've really enjoyed reaching out to people and curating this panel, because it's important that you know that your entry is going to go in front of other industry experts, that you credit people that can offer some insight, and they will all look for different things. And I think this is something that I feel really strongly about, and it goes back to my university days. When we assessed scholarships, it was never one person's decision. It can't be, because even if you're following guidance and a scoring criteria, you always bring your own personal bias or your own personal values into it. And what you think is really important about someone's answer might not be what someone else sees. So you can sometimes miss things, or you can put too much emphasis on something that pulls on your heartstrings, and then the scoring isn't completely fair. So it's really important that there's more than one person looking at any award entry. And we wanted it to be a one kind of stage process. We didn't want this judging process to drag on for weeks and weeks and weeks. So to keep it fair and to have it as a one stage one, every award entry will be looked at by 3 people. So I think that's really reassuring for anyone that's looking at entering, that their entry will be looked at by 3 separate judges. And then the average of those 3 scores is what will be used to shortlist. And that just gives everybody a fair opportunity to be assessed on all the different elements that come through in their category answers. So yeah, it's really exciting. And I think we've got some amazing people on the judging panel. And I think all of them have seen the value in being involved. They either really care passionately about class businesses, that's their background, or they're in education and they're really driven by that, or they're just really up for being able to help other business owners have this recognition and this platform.
Well, it's going to be exciting because I'm going to be interviewing them. We're going to be interviewing all of the judges, and you guys will get to hear from them and their background and their stories and how they can implement it into their business. So obviously, we know, right, the doors are open until the 30th of April, midnight, to submit their awards. And we know from experience, everyone's going to leave this to the last minute because they always do. But me and Emma want to really get across to everyone, don't leave it to the last minute, because you'll end up rushing it and you don't want to do that. Now, I've given a little incentive to get people to enter early. Between now and the end of April, we're going to do like a prize draw for people that enter and complete their application so they can get an interview with us. And that will obviously hopefully get some people thinking about it a lot earlier in the process. But what tips and advice would you give to people who are looking to do their application? Because we've given them everything in the portal. We've given them all the tips and the advice, how to write an award-winning application. All of that's in the portal for them. But what would you say? Because we know it's going to happen.
Yeah. I would say to anyone, get yourself in that portal as soon as you can. So as Krissy said, it's been built in a really thoughtful way. It's very much built for the nominee, and that portal has everything that they need. So it's not just the questions that are in there. It's like you say, it's all the videos talking you through the entire process, helping you to craft your answers. And yeah, okay, we're all guilty of having that last day adrenaline and getting the form done and submitted. But what you can't do is prepare everything on the last day. And this is where people fall down. So I think you can do a last minute submission if you've been doing the background work. And you can only do the background work if you've got the questions in your head. So the earlier you get those questions into your brain and in the back of your mind and you're thinking about them, the better, because your brain will do the work for you. If those questions are in there, you'll be thinking about it. And you've got weeks to be doing that. And you can be thinking, what would be a good example for that? And things will come to you at all different times of the day and night over those weeks. But you don't give yourself that thinking time if you leave it till the last day. And then it's things like, okay, that example's come into my head. That would be a really strong example for that particular question. How can I prove it? What evidence am I going to need? And again, these things take time. So if you're scrabbling around on the very last day with 2 hours to go till the deadline, and you think of that brilliant example, but then you can't find that testimonial that goes with it, you could be scrolling through your Facebook reviews, looking for that quote, and you'll drive yourself mad. Whereas if you're doing it weeks in advance, you can be gathering all these things together. So I can't reiterate it enough how important it is to do that work.
For sure, do the prep work, because I tell you from experience, my friends, the last thing you want to do is get through as a finalist, get to the event, not win, and be disappointed. Because I've done that, and I've been like, because I didn't prep enough. And so you end up, and then obviously you're happy for the winners and stuff, but you're disappointed in you because you're like, I could have spent more time writing that. And in heart if you've rushed it. And then you're like, because the thing is, everyone does it because they're rushing to get these applications in. They get them in. Then obviously they're like, oh, amazing, I've made it through as a finalist. And they're all excited. And then then you go through the whole dilemma. Oh, I might win, I might not win, and all of that jazz. But there's nothing worse than getting to the finals, going to the event, and then your name's not called. And then you have to put a mirror in your own face. Because I have been there and I've been like, I rushed my application. I didn't do enough. And you don't want to do that. That's not the feeling. No. Whereas I know like other events where I've prepared for and like, I know I've done a solid application and I'm like, someone's going to have to be like next level to beat this application because I know what I've done and what I've put in, the effort and the time to write it. And then when your name's called out, you're like, yes, because I know I freaking should have won this award because I've like worked my socks off. So, and I demonstrated and answered all the questions and evidenced everything and I didn't rush it. So yes, that's my one tip because I've been on both sides and you're like, and it's not fun unless obviously, if you know you've done your best. That's a different matter.
You want to just do yourself justice. You just want to do yourself justice, and you can't do that if you leave it all to the last day. And a judge can only award marks for what's on that page.
The paper, what's on the paper.
There's no assumed prior knowledge. They can't use that anyway. They're working to a very clear scoring matrix for these awards. So they can only give points where the context of the answer is clear, where it's been answered fully and there is evidence there. So that is where the points will just fall straight off. When you're rushing an answer, it's really difficult to come up with all of those things.
I've been a judge on awards and then you see someone that's written literally one sentence and you're like, I can't mark that. Like that's literally a 1. And so that's my other thing I would definitely say to everyone. And we did tell them this in the training portal, use the word count. Like use the word count that you've got to answer the question fully. Because if you just write one sentence, you're not going to get a high mark for that. And I've seen it a lot in applications that I've gone through.
Yeah, it does happen. It always amazes me, but people will. And also don't just copy and paste your answer, because the other thing that people do, especially nowadays, run it through AI and read it back to yourself and think, oh yeah, that sounds good. But you can put, if you put, and I've tried and tested this, if you put award questions into AI, it has no nuance. It can't answer questions. It will just regurgitate the same information that you've fed it in different ways. And so it's not ever actually answering the question. And I see this as well as a downfall for a lot of people. They think that they've, it's some sort of hack for it's not at all for answering award questions at all. You can generate ideas. You can put your answer through it and get it to finesse it a little bit, or to jazz it up a little bit. But to actually get it to answer initially.
Yeah. Use it to support, not to do everything, like, for sure.
Yeah.
So those are our tips and advice, isn't it? It's like, make sure you plan out your application, as we've told everyone in the portal through the training. Give yourself enough time to prep so you actually write a decent application and you're not rushing. And then if you want to be a deadline dancer and submit literally 1 minute before the closing deadline, copy and paste, obviously, your answers across to the form. And if you need that adrenaline, then do that. But please, prep everything in advance to give yourself the best chance of becoming a finalist. But the other thing I also want to say as well, Emma, even if you don't get through as a finalist, your business has already won, because you put yourself in the arena, you did the reviewing work, like you said, you use your nomination badge and etc. to market your business. So for those people that are listening, like Emma will tell you, like, it's all about visibility. So carry on using that and be part of the event afterwards, like, even if you don't get through as a finalist.
Absolutely. So I think we've talked about what you've created here. It's not just a one-off award. You're building a legacy and you're building a community. So this is a new platform for people that are working in this sector to connect with others. So yeah, they are a winner straight away by getting themselves involved in this, I think, because they've got the chance as a nominee to be picked to have an interview with you. It's like a massive asset for them for visibility. Sharing a nomination badge. When people see someone's nominated for an award, they immediately assume a level of success. It's human psychology. A lot of people don't, people scrolling fast, they just see award and they think, oh, wow, they're up for an award. That it's an immediate positive association. So don't underestimate how valuable that visibility is. And when you share those sort of things, people will wade into your comments congratulating you. It's instant visibility. It's huge. And I think just that association with the award is valuable. But I absolutely agree with what you said about getting involved anyway, because if you're wanting to win one of these awards in the future, the best way to find out how to do it is to get into that room, because you've got a chance to speak to people who were finalists, people who judged them, people who've sponsored them. You can find out so much more. And those conversations can be some of the best education, because if you're chatting to someone who was shortlisted and they talk about what they do and what they've included in their entry, that's when you have those light bulb moments of, oh yeah, actually, I could have put that in about me. I didn't even think about that. And this is often where entries are let down, because when we're rushing to write something, we know everything. We have all the context in our own mind. So we read it back to ourselves. It makes perfect sense. We think everything's there. But the judge doesn't know you, and they need all those examples and that context and that evidence. And when you're chatting to other people that have done that well, that's when you learn about, oh, actually, next year I'm going to put that in and I could use that evidence. So, yeah, get yourselves in that room and start as you mean to go on.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's where obviously the growth happens as well. Like, you connect with other people, you see what they're doing. You're like, okay, like, when I was franchising, you would see franchisors win and you look at what they do and then you think, that's what I need to be doing. Like, if I want to get to that level and I want that level of success, go and like follow the footsteps of the people winning, because those are the ones that are leaving clues. Like, success leaves clues, as I say. Yeah. So yeah, there's always there's always the learning process from applying for the awards, being part of the awards, and obviously attending the event as well, for sure. And I'm really excited because this year I'm going to be going to loads of events, and that's the aim, is to raise the awareness of class-based business owners and the awards and the work that we're doing. Anyway, if you are watching this and you are looking for support and advice on an award strategy, then get in touch with Emma, because not obviously she's involved in the Class Business Awards, but she's involved in loads of other awards out there. And she can support you in your applications and getting your strategy in place. And if you are also thinking, do you know what? I want to organise my own awards. Like, there are people out there as well who are thinking, right, I want to create my own platform. Again, get in touch with Emma. She's got the blueprint. She knows how to organise from start to end, and she can support you through that process. Emma, I put all the contact details in this video so people can get in touch with you directly. Is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap up today? Like, what's the one piece of advice you would give to a class-based business owner who is looking to get more visibility this year through awards? What would you tell them?
I would say go for it, and go for it soon. Get yourself registered, get on the portal, get your nomination badge, because it's an immediate marketing asset that you can start using, and get yourself thinking about the questions, because just planting the questions in your mind and doing that reflective piece is an instant confidence boost, because you forget what you've done. We all forget what we're doing from day to day. We're so goal orientated, always moving for the next thing, that we don't stop and pause and reflect on what we've already done. So just by answering those questions and thinking about them, you remind yourself how much you've already done, and that confidence gives you the visibility, because it changes the way that you see yourself.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Emma. And if you've loved this conversation, please share it with another class-based business owner. Like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And we'll see you soon for more conversations.
Thank you.